Hi guys, so yesterday I missed this report, but I'm going to update it for you guys today. North Korea, for the first time known to any of us, has ordered a mass evacuation drill. So Kim Jong-un orders blackout drills as the US says, be ready for war. And we're going to see like exercise which appear to be preparation for possible US airstrikes were carried out in secondary cities and smaller towns across the country this week, according to a site that monitors the secret country. Capital Pyongyang did not take part in the war drills, which were focused on the East Coast, where the US would likely attack from Japan, Guam, and the Pacific. Such blackout and evacuation training are incredibly rare in the Hermit Kingdom, but multiple sources reported them taking place today, according to the North Korean news. Let's scroll down a bit. The White House ordered its fleet of B-52 nuclear bombers and intercontinental ballistic missile units to be ready last night. That's okay. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mad Dog Mattis warned a massive military response if Kim Jong-un dares attack America or its allies, such as Japan or South Korea, on a visit to the North Korean border yesterday. Donald Trump threatened to totally destroy North Korea in a UN speech last month and has moved 3 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers brimming with bombers to the waters around the pariah state. Despite this, a senior North Korean diplomat repeated the regime's threat to carry out its next nuclear test over the Pacific this week. So retired Lieutenant General John Im-bom of the South Korean Army said, "I have never heard of this type of training exercise before in North Korea, but I am not surprised. They must realize how serious the situation is." A regular visitor to North Korea told NK News that they have never heard of those kind of drills. The source said there used to be air raid drills in 2003, but not since then. A mass evacuation would be impossible not to notice. We continue. A regular visitor working in the country said, "I have never heard of evacuation exercises happening before. It appears to be the first mass evacuations North Korea has carried out since at least 2013. At that time, the regime ordered diplomats evacuate and cars in Pyongyang be covered in camouflage netting. Drills were held on an almost daily basis during another crisis period in 1994. The exercises could be just used by the regime to control its population by keeping them in a constant state of fear, but experts believe Kim is determined to carry out another long-range test of an intercontinental ballistic missile capable of delivering a nuclear warhead to the US mainland. Trump has vowed to stop the trigger-happy tyrant from achieving this goal and would be hard-pressed to avoid a military response. Kim could be preparing his people for the inevitable backlash." And that's just leading up now. We're on the 29th of October, left of October, and then we're in November. And this all seems to be ramping up even more. We know that the South Korean military have been practicing evacuations along with the US military. And we know that there's been planned tsunami drills that were supposed to take place in Fiji. And there was the great shakeout that took place around the world, preparing people for an earthquake. And now we have North Korea for the first time in recent history, at least since 2003. In 2003 it was air raid drills. This is the first time that anyone's hearing of North Korea actually conducting a mass evacuation drill. And that could be because they plan to launch their next, we'll say, provocation, which would then, if in my last video I talked about, if they did detonate a H-bomb, it would be the start of the chain of events to WW3, and the events that would follow would include possible EMPs over 3 locations, as well as obviously the conventional military and nuclear weapons being used as well. So then today, we have the US military aircraft. This today, the 29th of October. The US military aircraft seen heading for North Korea amid fears World War III about to start. And that was posted at the time. It's 7:42 p.m. over here right now. This was posted about 4 hours ago. So Let's have a listen to what Mr. Pence is saying.
The United States has, in his words, great strength and patience. All options are on the table. Our enemies should never doubt the capabilities of the armed forces of the United States of America. Anyone who would threaten our nation should know that America always seeks peace. But if we are forced to defend ourselves or our allies, we will do so with military power that is effective and overwhelming.
So that seems to be like a reinforcement of the rhetoric that we've heard from the White House on this subject of North Korea and their missiles before. But, you know, it's been Rex Tillerson and Mattis mostly and Donald Trump tweeting here and there. And Pence hasn't really spoken up. But having recently just traveled to South Korea, he's decided to make this speech. And then we've got North Korea having mass evacuation drills, while today we have a US military aircraft heading for North Korea amid fears World War III is about to start. I don't think it's about to start because, as we read here, a Northrop Grumman E-8 Joint Surveillance Target Attack Radar System, Joint STARS, is flying across South Korea towards its border with North Korea, according to a website that monitors air traffic. The plane is a United States Air Force airborne ground surveillance, battle management and command and control aircraft. It tracks ground vehicles and some aircraft, collects imagery and relays tactical pictures to ground and air theater commanders. So it seems like they're preparing themselves in terms of, you know, ramping up their surveillance and getting imagery and probably trying to figure out where the nuclear missiles and other missiles are being stored, or their possible launch sites, so they can destroy them in a tactical strike if they have to. The White House told its B-52 long-range nuclear bombers and intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, units to be ready for war this week. Okay. All right. So that's published today. Come on. This week. Okay. That puts it within the range, if we're talking about this week being next week, in terms of this week, then we're looking at around the 5th of November, 4th of November, 3rd of November, 2nd, 1st, 31st, and 30th. 30th and 31st of October, and the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and 4th, and 5th of November is all this week. Be ready for war this week. That's a strong warning. That's a very strong indication that things are moving forward right in the timeline that we've been looking at. The aircraft is believed to be flying at about 29,000 feet over Cheocheon, the capital of Gangwon province in South Korea, that is only about 40 miles from the border with North Korea. It is unclear what its purpose or final destination is, but the military plane is designed to spot and identify enemy targets for attack. Excuse me. The surprising development comes after North Korea repeated threats it was going to fire an H-bomb over the Pacific. The launch could be the final test the Hermit Kingdom needs to ensure it can hit the US mainland with a nuclear-tipped ICBM. Donald Trump has vowed to stop that happening, threatening to totally destroy North Korea if it attacks either the US or its allies. His Defense Secretary, Mad Dog Mattis, also threatened a military response if North Korea's Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un makes the wrong move. The Daily Star Online yesterday revealed the Pentagon will practice shooting down a missile over the Pacific over the next few days, raising expectations Trump is planning to blow the North Korean rocket out of the sky. North Korea has also held extremely rare mass evacuations, as I just mentioned, and blackout drills in their apparent preparations for conflict with the US. It appears both sides are gearing up for war to start in the coming days. Coming days, guys. Let's pay attention to this. The E-8 Joint STARS plane could be scoping out North Korean armor, artillery, or missile sites near the border in preparation for attack. I haven't watched this video. It's probably going to be an advert before it plays. Either way, let's continue. It says the crisis on the Korean Peninsula appears to be at its worst for years. Kim has vowed to develop a nuclear missile capable of reaching mainland America, and Trump has pledged to stop him. Trump persuaded China. One second. I can stop it. So, Trump persuaded China and Russia to sign up to harsh new sanctions in a bid to strangle off the trade and foreign cash Kim needs to fund his weapons program. But the trigger-happy regime has brushed off the measures, saying it will plow on with its missile program even if it faces 1,000 years of sanctions. The sworn enemies now appear to be on a collision course, with both using similar aggressive and apocalyptic language. If neither backs down, war seems inevitable, and Trump may now be preparing for this eventuality. Security experts have warned Trump millions will die in hours if he attacks North Korea. US and South Korean aircraft have carried out dummy bombing raids, preparing for an attack on Kim and his henchmen. Even if the communist regime is yet to perfect its ICBM, it still has a fearsome arsenal of rockets and artillery pointing at South Korea and Japan, where tens of thousands of US troops are stationed. The E-8 Joint Stars may be carrying out a surveillance of these missiles and artillery positions to determine if it could knock out Kim's counter-strike force before he can fire back. So, guys, this is it here. As you heard in these two reports from the Daily Star, we've got North Korea doing mass evacuations and blackout drills, and we've got US surveillance aircraft, taking pictures and surveilling targets for possible attack, and people telling their commanders and stuff to prepare for war in the next week, in the coming days. So we're looking at a very short timeline. If this is correct, then we're looking at an extremely short timeline by next week, basically. So I don't know what else to say apart from here we go. I hope everyone is good with God, and that they're ready, because this stuff is taking a serious turn.